Welcome to Mathematics Made Easy with TADX, where mathematical concepts will be explained in clear terms for easy understanding. You can also join us on all our social media handles for more information.
All right, good day, pals. Thank you for having me here again today. And before we start today's class, let me use this few minutes to appreciate every one of you for your kind gestures, for your likes, for your advice. And apart from that, I also need to appreciate Mr. Eric. I think I need to mention your name at this point in time. Uh, I must be sincere. All your feedbacks, I so much appreciate it. And apart from that, your timely response to the exercises, I appreciate it. And to everyone that has also been sending their feedbacks as well to my DM, thank you very much. I'm very grateful, and this is also keeping me moving. And apart from keeping me moving, it is also a sign that this particular project is not a waste, that actually lives are being touched. Thank you very much for that. So before we start for the equations containing brackets, I'm going to do a brief recap of what we've done before. Now, going over the projects from the beginning, we started with the concept of direct numbers, and then specifically we talked about the addition and subtraction of direct numbers. Then we're able to look at how to evaluate numbers. When you have plus, it means you are the owner. When you have minus, it means you are owing. So with that, we looked at different examples of numbers containing the plus and minus and how we can evaluate them. Now, after doing that, then we move straight to the simple equation. Precisely, that was the one we did the last time we met. Now, for the simple equation, I made it clear then that we need three different things, that if you're able to know them, you don't have any problem as far as the equation is concerned. The first one is the number. After the number, we talked about the algebra. Now, when I was talking about the algebra, I said algebra is the number and letter together. And the number beside the letter, I called it the coefficients. And the third one we discussed about was collection of like terms. And while talking about the collection of like terms, I made it clear then that the algebra will be placed on the left hand side, while the numbers will be placed on the right hand side. And in between the left hand side and the right hand side, we have the equality sign, which separates the left hand and the right hand. And if you're able to do that, then you are going to fall back to what we started with, which is the concept of the direct number. So that will help you to be able to evaluate each of the questions you have there. Now, after doing that, then for you to evaluate, you will also come across another scenario, or let me say another thing, which is division by the coefficients of the algebra. So after doing that, we're able to look at a series of examples, and from the exercise given and the feedback gotten as well, I've been convinced that at least by now we can confidently move to the equations containing the brackets. Now, let's look at the way we are going to evaluate it. Now, we have 5 different questions here, and for the 5 questions here, as usual, we are going to be taking it step by step. Now, taking it step by step, I'm going to use this 2 sides as my rough book. Now, taking the 2 sides as my rough book, this will be my notes. And like I've explained in our previous classes, that using the rough book, you need to have the same thing, either your rough book or your solving notes, which you are going to be using to solve, instead of you making your notes to be dirty. Your rough book can be dirty, that one is not a problem. Now let's look at the first one. When we have 3 into bracket x minus 5, everything equals to 12. Now, with this question that we have here, there is something that we need to observe, which is a bit different from what we have been solving initially, and that's the concept of this bracket. In between these 3 that we have here and the bracket is the sign of multiplication. That means the multiplication sign here is the only thing that is silent or invisible in this expression here. That means whenever they are writing the variable, be it number or algebra, before the brackets, nobody will tell you that there is a multiplication. But as a mathematician, you need to know that there is an invisible multiplication here. So for you to open these brackets here, or for you to eliminate the brackets, you are going to multiply whatever you have before the brackets by each of the terms inside the brackets, one after the other. That means you multiply this 3 by x, you also multiply this 3 by 5. And before doing that, let's not also forget that in front of this 3 here, we have invisible plus. we've talked about that when we're talking about the concept of direct number. That means when you have a number and they are not putting anything in front of it, there's an invisible plus. So that means when you multiply the plus here and the plus here, you are going to have addition. Let me write the operational signs here. We have plus multiplied by plus, which gives you plus. Plus multiplied by minus, which gives you minus. Minus multiplied by minus, which gives you plus. Minus multiplied by plus, which gives you minus. Now let me quickly talk about these 4 operational signs. Now, as far as I'm concerned, the secret to multiplication of signs is this: when you have the same sign, your answer is going to be plus. For example, when you're multiplying plus by plus, your answer is going to be plus. When you're multiplying minus by minus, your answer is going to be plus. But when you're multiplying different signs, be it multiplication by subtraction or subtraction by addition, your answer is going to be minus. Now let's look at the application of this before we come back to this one. Now when you have plus 3 multiplied by plus 7, in this case here, plus times plus, I'm taking the sign here now, plus multiplied by plus, just like what we've done here. When you are multiplying the same sign, plus multiplied by plus will give you plus. Then multiplying the numbers now, 3 times 7 gives us 21. Now let's take the same sign again, this time around the negative. Now we have minus 3 times minus 3. Here we have minus and here we are having minus. Since you are multiplying the same sign, minus times minus here gives you plus. 3 times 3, 9. So that means minus 3 times minus 3 gives you plus 9. Now this is a bit different from when you are dealing with just pure direct number. When you have minus 3 minus 3. Minus 3 minus 3, you are owing 3 naira, you are owing 3 naira, you are owing 6 naira altogether. But this one, you are dealing with multiplication. So provided you are saying the multiplication here, just know that you are going to multiply the signs before multiplying the number. Now, the next one we are going to take now, I'm going to take algebra. Now, let's say we are having minus 2x multiplied by plus 3y. Now, we are having 3 different things to multiply there. You have minus 2x multiplied by plus 3y. Now, in this case here, let's take the signs first. After taking the signs, then we take the numbers. After that, then we now take the letters. Now, look at the 3 things I've done here. Minus 2x multiplied by plus 3y. I used another thing here, which is dots. That means you might be checking some solutions sometimes. Instead of you using the multiplication, you may use your dots. Now, in this case here, minus times minus, that was the first thing I did here. That's number 1. Number is number 2. Letter is number 3. That means what I did here was to multiply the signs that I'm having. Here, I'm having minus and plus here. So minus times plus here gives me minus. I'm done with that. Then the next thing I'm multiplying is the numbers. 2 times 3. 2 times 3 gives me 6. Then the third thing I'm multiplying is the letter. X times y automatically gives me xy. So in this case here now, what we are having is minus 2x multiplied by plus 3y. That gives me minus 6xy. Let me give us another side example before we come back to this particular one. Let's say minus 7x then multiply by plus 8y. So let's see how we are going to evaluate this. We have minus 7x multiplied by plus 8y. Just like the way I've numbered it here. 1, 2, 3. The number 1 is the sign. Number 2 is the number. Number 3 is the letter. So let's take the signs here now. Minus times plus gives us minus. Then 7 times 8, which is the second one, the number. 7 times 8 gives us 56. Then the third one is the letter x and y. When you multiply it together, it gives you x, y. So this is what we are going to be working with majorly. If you know how to multiply the signs, you know how to multiply the number, you know how to multiply the letters, you don't have any problem at all. Now, let's now come back to what I was trying to explain initially. Here we have 3, and here I said we have invisible multiplication here. So let's take it now. In front of this 3, there's an invisible plus. So we have plus, and in front of this x, there's also an invisible plus here. So plus times plus, plus. Now, we are not going to write the plus because it's invisible. It's the plus that is starting an expression. So you leave it there like that. Then 3 times x gives us 3x. Then we go to the second one. The second value we have inside this bracket is minus 5. In front of this 3, we have an invisible plus. So we take the plus, plus times minus, it gives us minus, just like the way we explained it there. This minus. Then the next thing we are having left is 3 and 5. So 3 times 5 gives us 15. So we have the 15 here. Then we are done with this bracket here. The next thing we need to do is just for us to take this right hand side, or the RHS. Now this has now been reduced to what we did in our last class. So what we did in our last class, what we just need to do here is just for us to collect our like terms. So let's collect our like terms. When you collect the like terms, minus 15 crosses to the other side, that becomes plus. So we have 3x equals to 12 plus 15. Then when you add it together, we have 3x equals to 27. So easily we can proceed from here. You divide both sides by the coefficients of x, just like we did in our last class. The coefficient of x is 3. So when we divide it, x equals to 9. So that means 27 divided by 3 gives us 9. Now let me quickly recap before we write it inside our notes. Now to recap, I said when you have an expression like this, 3 into brackets x minus 5 equals to 12. The first thing we need to do is, when you are writing it out, know that there is an invisible multiplication here, which nobody will tell you. But as a mathematician, you are expected to know that there is an invisible multiplication here, which means when you are opening this bracket, you use this 3 to multiply each of the values inside the bracket. Now the first value we have here is x. 3 times x gives us 3x. Now for the second value here, we have plus here, which is invisible, and here we have minus. Plus times minus gives us minus. Then 3 times 5 gives us 15. So with that, we have been able to open the bracket we have on the LHS. Now coming to the RHS here now, we have 12, and that 12 is standing alone. We don't have any problem with that. Now it has been reduced to what we started with, precisely what we did in our last class. So we collect our like terms. When you collect the like terms, minus 15 crosses to the other side to become plus 15. So when you add 12 and 15 together, you have your 27. Now you divide both sides by the coefficient of x here, which is 3. So after doing that, you have 27 divided by 3, which gives you 9. With that, I've been able to solve the first question correctly. I'm going to write inside my notes. Then after writing inside my notes, we take the second question and we see how simple it is as well. Solution number 1, we have 3 into brackets x minus 5 equals to 12. 3x minus 15 equals to 12. 3x equals to 12 plus 15. We have 3x equals to 27 over 3 over 3. So we have x equals to 9. So with that, I'm done with the first one. Then we take the second question. That's 2 into brackets x minus 2 equals to 5x minus 10. Okay, so let's take the second one now. As usual, I'm still going to do it inside my rough book. After doing it inside my rough book, then we transfer inside the notes. Like I told us initially, that in between these two and brackets here, we have multiplication. So that tells us that we are going to be multiplying these two by each value that we have inside the bracket. Now let's take this now. The first value we have here is x, and what we have here is 2. So 2 times x here gives us 2x. Now taking the next one, we have plus here, and here we have minus. The plus is invisible, nobody is going to write it. Or probably maybe if I want to take the next question, okay, we have one that is having negative here. So when we get to the negative value, you see how we are going to work with the negative value here. Now here we have minus, we have plus here, so we have minus, because plus times minus gives us minus. Even apart from that, like I told us initially, that when the signs are not the same, you have plus and minus, your answer is going to be minus. So invisible plus here multiplied by the minus here gives us minus. Then 2 times 2 gives us 4. Then everything equals to what we have on the right hand side, 5x minus 10. Now this has been reduced to our simple equation from the last class. Now collection of like terms here. When you are collecting the like terms, put all the algebra on the left hand side, then all the numbers put it on the right hand side. The algebra here is 2x and 5x. 2x is already on the left hand side. This 5x needs to cross this equals to, and while crossing, the sign for this 5x is this plus that is beside it, not this minus. So when this plus crosses to this side, it becomes minus. So we have 2x minus 5x equals to, on the right hand side we are left with minus 10, because this minus belongs to the 10. Then this minus 4 crosses this equals to become plus 4. Now we are now reduced to direct number now. Plus 2 minus 5. Plus 2 because we have invisible plus here. So plus 2 minus 5 gives us minus 3x. Then equals to minus 10 plus 4. Also another form of direct number. So minus 10 plus 4 gives us minus 6. So here now we divide both sides by minus 3, minus 3. The minus cancel out the minus. So we have x equals to 2. Also very simple. Now if you're able to follow the steps one after the other, there's no question that looks like this number 1 and 2 that you will not be able to do. And like I do tell us that success motivates success. If you are successful in the first one, definitely you'll be successful in the third one or subsequent ones. If we have been able to solve this first and second question conveniently following the procedure, there's no way we will not be able to solve this third, fourth, and fifth question correctly. So let me write it inside my notes now. So here we have 2x minus 4 equals to 5x minus 10. Collecting the like terms, we have 2x minus 5x equals to minus 10 plus 4. Minus 3x equals to minus 6, dividing both sides by minus 3. Minus 3, this and this is gone. We have x equals to 2. So with that, we are done with the second question. So the third one, 4 into brackets a plus 5 plus 3 into brackets 2a minus 7, everything equals to 0. So rubbing up the rough sheets to take the third question now. So my third question, we have 4 into brackets a plus 5 plus 3 into brackets 2a minus 7, everything equals to 0. Now if you look at this third question, we're having two different brackets there, and for each of the brackets, the same way we solved it, one by one. That's why you're still going to solve it to get your answer. Now for this first one, between these 4 and brackets we have multiplication, just like the way we did the first two questions. That means 4 times a here gives us 4a, then 4 times 5 we have plus 20, plus because in this case here we have an invisible plus here, and beside this 5 here we also have invisible plus. The signs are the same. Plus times plus gives us plus, then 4 times 5 gives us 20. Now with that, we are done with the first bracket. You now take the second bracket. For the second bracket here, in front of this 3 we have plus. The 2a here is also having invisible plus. Now since it's having invisible plus, we are not going to write it there, but you and I both know that there's a plus here. So plus times plus there gives us plus. So it's just like you're having plus 3 multiplied by 2a. Even though you want to go stepwisely the way I arranged it before, multiplying the signs, number and letter. The sign here is plus. In front of this 2a we also have plus. Plus times plus gives us plus. The second one from the arrangement I gave us, number, 2 times 3 gives us 6. Then the third one is the letter, which is ordinary a. So this gives us plus 6a. So I write it here, plus 6a. Now coming back to this place here, now we have plus here, and before the 7 here we have minus. Plus times minus, since the signs are not the same, automatically the answer is going to be minus. Plus times minus gives us minus. Then multiplying the numbers, 3 times 7 gives us 21. Everything equals to 0. So we have been able to open the brackets conveniently. Now, after opening the bracket, the next thing we need to do is just for us to collect our like terms. Now, when you are collecting the like terms, like I said, or like I do tell us, put all the algebra on the left hand side, the numbers goes to the right hand side. So the algebra here we have 4a and 6a. So we have 4a plus 6a. That's all. So equals to 0 is already here. Put it. The first number here is plus 20. Plus 20 crosses this equals to become minus 20. Now we are done with this plus 20. Then the next one here is minus 21. Minus 21 crosses this equals to become plus 21. Now let me quickly give us this tip. When you get to this stage here, before collecting the like terms, count the number of values you have. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, including the 0. Now, after collecting your like terms, count the values you have. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now you have 5, 5. Now, the reason why it's good for you to count is this. It's possible that whenever you are collecting your like terms, you might have made a mistake of omission. Nobody is above mistake. So when you count, it will tell you that initially I was having 5 here. Maybe after collection of like terms, I'm now having 4. Then you know that something is wrong. That means you've omitted something. So this issue of counting, you need it when you start dealing with long values. So the next thing we need to do now is just for us to evaluate what we have, both on the left hand side and also on the right hand side. 4a plus 6a gives us 10a equals to, now direct numbers. 0 minus 20. 0, I don't have any money on me. Minus 20, you are owing somebody 20 naira. That still gives you what? Minus 20. Then plus 21. Now somebody now gives you 21 naira, which is now your own. So when you give the person 20 naira from the 21, that gives you 1. We've evaluated that when we're dealing with direct number, so no need of wasting time on that. So this gives us 1. Now, from the last class, when you are left with single variable on both sides, for you to get the final answer for a in this place, divide both sides by 10. That means this will be divided by 10. This will also be divided by 10. So that means your a equals to 1 all over 10. And that gives you your final answer. So before writing it in my notes, let me still summarize. As usual, in between the 4 and brackets, you have multiplication. 4 times a gives you 4a. 4 times 5 gives you 20. Invisible plus there multiplied by plus gives you plus. We go to the other side. Plus here multiplied by the plus in front of the 2a gives us plus. 3 times 2a gives us 6a. Plus times minus gives us minus. 3 times 7, 21. Everything equals to 0. Now after you are done with that, collect your like terms. Put all the algebra on the left hand side. Then you put the number on the right hand side. The 2 algebra we have here is 4a and 6a. So you put them together here. They are not crossing this equals to. They are already on the left hand side. That's why their signs are not changing. Now go to the right hand side. We have 0 here. This plus 20 crosses to become minus 20. Minus 21 crosses to become plus 21. Evaluating for a and 6a, we have 10a. Then minus 20 plus 21 gives you 1. So divide both sides by 10. You have your final answer as a equals to 1 over 10. So writing it inside my notes now, I'm going to have 4a plus 20 plus 6a minus 21 equals to 0. Collecting my like terms, 4a plus 6a equals to 0 minus 20 plus 21. 10a equals to 1. Divide both sides by 10. So we have a equals to 1 all over 10. So the fourth question, we have 4 into brackets x plus 5. Then we have minus, open a bracket, x minus 3 equals to 20. I love this fourth question because it's having a negative value. So we are going to say how we are going to evaluate negative numbers as opposed to only the positive that we have been working with. Because it's possible when you are doing your exercise you see questions dealing with minus. So when you see minus, you know how to work on it. Now let's take this as well. Here we have 4 into bracket x plus 5 minus, open a bracket, x minus 3, everything equals to 20. I'm very sure this first one should not be a problem for us, because it's almost the same thing with what we have been doing before. When you have 4 into bracket x plus 5, between this 4 and bracket there's invisible multiplication, so use the 4 to multiply this, also use this 4 to multiply this, so that gives you 4x plus 4 times 5, 20. Now you are done with that. No problem with that at all. Now since you are done with that, the next thing we now have is minus into bracket x minus 3. Now this minus is not just standing on its own. There is also an invisible one here. Whenever you see minus or 1 or plus standing, there's an invisible one that is there. It's just like there are a lot of invisible things in mathematics, and that's why we are doing this now, so that whatever seems invisible in mathematics, we are going to see it clearly being visible or open before us. Now when you have 1 here as the coefficient of this whole bracket here, now minus, for the sake of explanation, I'm going to put it there so that the invisibility becomes visible. Now this is minus. Also another thing that is invisible here is plus. I'm writing it just for the sake of explanation to make it visible. Now according to what I said initially, you multiply the sign first, after the sign number, after the number letter. Now let's follow these 3 for us to be able to evaluate this. Now the first thing we have there is sign. Minus times plus here gives us minus. We are done with that. Now the next thing is number. Beside this x, there's also an invisible one. Instead of you saying x, the complete value is 1x, but as a mathematician there's nothing like 1x. If you say 1x, I'll just look at, let me be like one village man or one village woman. Sorry for that. So here now, if I'm putting the 1 for the sake of explanation, so that means 1 times 1 gives us 1. I'm also writing the 1 for the sake of explanation. Now the last one here is what? Letter, which is what? X, because that's the only thing we have for that particular place. So that means what we're having here is minus 1x. Now literally minus 1x is the same thing as minus x, which I am going to write here now. So this becomes minus x. Now we are done with the 1 here. Let's now take the next one. We are still going to follow sign, number and letter. Now the sign, minus times minus, that gives us plus, because the signs are the same. When you have minus and minus, they are the same thing. Now the next one is number. 1 times 3, that gives us 3. Unfortunately for us, there's no letter here, so that means we are only having minus 1 multiplied by minus 3, which gives us plus 3. Now with constant practice, it's very much possible for you to get to this stage, and without showing all this working here, you just write even without a pause. Now if you want to do that, it's very simple. Here we have plus, you have minus. Minus times plus gives you minus. Write your x. Minus times minus plus. Then here we have what? 3. Everything equals to 20. So instead of you going through the long process of explaining it one by one, you can just look at it directly. Here you have minus, and here you have plus. Minus times plus gives you minus. Write your x. Minus times minus plus, then you write down your 3. Everything equals to 20. Now we have to collect our like terms, and while collecting the like terms, as usual, put all the algebra on the left hand side, then you put the number on the right hand side. So here we have 4x minus x equals to 20 minus 20 minus 3. So 4x minus x gives you 3x equals to 20 minus 20 is 0 minus 3 minus 3. So we have 3x equals to 3, divide both sides by 3. This and this is gone, so we have x equals to minus 1. So let me write it inside my notes now. Writing inside the note, we have 4x plus 20 minus x plus 3 equals to 20. We have 4x minus x equals to 20 minus 20 minus 3. So this gives us 3x equals to minus 3. Vary both side by 3. So we have x equals to minus 1. So with that, we are moving to the last question, which is 2 into brackets 3x minus 5 into bracket 2x minus 3 equals to 4 into bracket 5x minus 4. So taking the last question here, I will solve it in my rough book first. Now let's open the brackets here. When you open the brackets, this one gives us 6x, invisible plus and minus gives us minus, and 2 times 5 gives us 10. We are through with the first one. Now this second one here, now we have minus, and in front of 2x we have plus. So minus here multiplied by the plus that is in front of this 2x gives us minus. Now take the 5, use it to multiply 2x. 5 times 2x gives us 10x. Then we now take this minus multiplied by this minus here. The answer is plus. Then 5 times 3 gives us 15. Now with that, we are through with the left hand side. Now coming back to the right hand side, now the right hand side is also having its own brackets as well. Now having its own brackets here, we have 4 multiplied by 5x, which gives us 20x. Now in front of this 4 here, that's immediately after the equals to, we have an invisible plus multiplied by the minus that is here. Plus times minus gives us minus. Then 4 times 4 gives us 16. Now since you have been able to do that, you have been able to open the brackets conveniently. So after opening the bracket, the next thing we need to do is just for us to collect the like terms. Now a brief overview of the procedure. First one, collect the like terms. First one, open your brackets. After opening the brackets, you collect the like terms. After collecting the like terms, evaluate. That means use your direct number to evaluate. Then after evaluating, divide both sides by the coefficients of the algebra, and that gives you your final answer. Very simple. So yeah, now collecting the like terms, you have 6x minus 10x. We still have one more algebra on the right hand side this time around, because the 20 is after the equals to. So when this 20 that is after the equals to comes to the left hand side, it becomes minus 20x, because what you have here is plus. Now the next number here is minus 10, it becomes plus 10. But you see that I'm not writing the plus, because that's the value that is starting the expression. Now after this minus 10 changes to plus 10, the next number I'm having here is plus 15, which becomes minus 15. Now the last number there, minus 16. Minus 16 is already after this equals to, that's on the right hand side. Now since it's already on the right hand side, I don't need to change the sign, so the sign still remains minus 16. It's only when you have the number on the left hand side that it crosses to the right hand side and the value changes. But here the value is not changing because it's already minus and it's already at the right hand side. Now let's count. 1 2 3 4 5 6. 1 2 3 4 5 6. That means we have not omitted any value. Now let's take it one by one. We have 6x minus 10x minus 20x. Just like I told us when we were dealing with direct number, take it one by one. When you have multiple values, reduce it to 2. Now the first two we have here is 6x minus 10x. When you have 6x minus 10x, then I explained that there's an invisible plus here. That's plus 6 minus 10. Plus 6 minus 10, from the direct number class, we have minus 4x. So that means minus 4x, now minus 20x. So minus 4 minus 20, we don't need to waste time on that. This gives us minus 24x. So I bring it down here. This gives us minus 24x equals to, then we now take the right hand side. Taking the right hand side, what we have there is 10 minus 15 minus 16. Take the first two. There's an invisible plus here. Plus 10 minus 15 gives us minus 5. So minus 5 minus 16. Minus 5 minus 16, direct direct number. That gives you minus 21. So this one has become minus 21. So the next thing we need to do now is just for us to divide both sides by the coefficients of x. And the coefficient of x here is minus 24. This divided by minus 24. So minus cancel minus, 24 is gone. X equals to, minus is cancelling the minus here. Now, from what we have here now, we can easily divide. 3 can go into 21 7 times. 3 can also go in 24 8 times. So when you divide this 7, also divide this 8. So we have 7 all over 8. That gives us our final answer. So writing inside my notes, I'm having 6x minus 10 minus 10x plus 15 equals to 20x minus 16. Collecting my like terms, you have 6x minus 10x minus 20x equals to, this crossing, 10 minus 15 minus 16. So this gives me minus 24x equals to minus 21. Dividing both sides by minus 24. So minus cancel minus x equals to 7 all over 8. So with this, we are coming to the end of the class for today, and I'm going to drop the exercise that we are going to practice with. And as usual, after practicing it, my DM, just send this to me, and I'm going to tell you if you are right, or if there's any mistake while solving it, I will let you know as well. So with this, I'm going to say goodbye. See you in our next class. And for the next class, we are going to be taking equations with fractions. So after taking the equations with fraction, then we are going to take another time to solve multiple questions on equation generally. So see you next week. God bless you.